glaucoma is the most treated disease and one of the leading cause of blindness in the world. According to WHO, this is the second leading cause of blindness. And another fact about the glaucoma is there is no cure yet for glaucoma. That means once the blindness from glaucoma occurs, there is no known treatment to restore the lost vision. But almost every cases, blindness from glaucoma is preventable. This prevention requires the early diagnosis and the proper treatment. The early diagnosis depends on the detection of early clinical manifestation of the various glaucoma and detailed knowledge regarding the various diagnostic procedures. So first coming to the definition of glaucoma. Glaucoma is a chronic progressive optic neuropathy caused by a group of conditions which lead to damage of the optic nerve and the visual function. The histopathological definition is a slow progressive degeneration of the retinal ganglion cells and optic nerve lesions. So this picture shows the glaucoma continuum. Wendler described the natural course of the disease into three phases, that is undetectable phase, asymptomatic phase, and the functional impairments. What happens in undetectable state? There is acceleration of the abortesis, which lead to ganglion cell death and axon loss, further lead to retinal nerve fiber layer changes, and further lead to retinal nerve fiber changes which is detectable. So we can detect the glaucoma here only by different imaging technique like HRT, GDX and the OCT. And functional impairment state, we detect the glaucoma first by the swab, that is short wavelength automated perimeters. And after approximately 40% of the ganglion cell or the nerve fiber layer are lost, then only the sharp or short automated perimeter detect the visual field defect. Then this further leads to severe visual field defect and ultimately blindness. So diagnosis is mainly based on the either functional or structural. In clinical practice traditionally based on the tonometry, perimetry, gonioscopy and subjective assessment of the visual field optic disc. But these methods have lot of limitations. These are the tonometers, different tonometers available. The oldest one is the COS tonometers, then Perkins and Gate, that is Goldman-Applanation tonometers, then Pascal DCT, ORA, NCT, tonopens, and these are transpalpebral tonometers and for pressure processing tonometers, and most recent one is the ITR. So what are the accurate? The most accurate one are these two, that is DCT and the ORA, because they does not depend on the corneal thickness and the biomechanical properties of the cornea, and they record the true intraocular pressures. And these instruments are usually used for this NCT, tonopens and ITR. These are mainly used for the screening purpose, and but still now the gold standard for diagnosis and management of the glaucoma is the Goldman-Applanation tonometers. So newer tonometers available now are the rebound tonometer, that is ITR, dynamic contour tonometers and ocular response analyzers. The ITR or rebound tonometer is the indentation tonometers, it is contact tonometers. It is based on the rebound principles and it provides digital reading and probes have to be changed for every patient. So rebound tonometer principle is it determines the intraocular pressure bouncing a small plastic tip metal probe against the cornea. The device uses an induction current to magnetize the probe and fire it against the cornea. As the probe bounces against the cornea and back into the device, it creates an induction current from which intraocular pressure is calculated. So it requires short training period useful for children, as no anesthesia is required, and that better tolerated than the gut. The corneal thickness independent tonometers are the dynamic contour tonometers and the ocular response analyzers. The DCT measures intraocular pressure and ocular pulse amplitudes. The principle is when the contour of the cornea and the tonometer match, then the pressure measured at the surface of the eye equal with the pressure inside the eyeballs. This is slit lamp mounted and direct measure of the intraocular pressure. No systemic error from the force to pressure conversion. No mechanical calibration is required as it is self-calibrating, and convenient disposable tip prevent contamination and potential infection, and this is also battery operated. The ORA ocular response analyzers, it provides intraocular measurement, intraocular pressure measurement free from the influence of corneal biomechanical properties. It measures three things: intraocular pressures, corneal hysteresis, and corneal resistance factors. The corneal hysteresis is the measurement of viscous damping and hence the biomechanical properties of the cornea. It directs the air jet against the cornea and measures not one but two intraocular pressures when applanation occurs. First pressure is when it applanates the cornea, and second intraocular pressure is when the cornea recovers when the cornea recovers, and intraocular pressure is the P1 and average of P1 and P2, and corneal hysteresis is the P1 minus P2. So low corneal hysteresis correlates with the progression of the glaucoma. So next is the anterior chamber assessment. Traditionally it is done by gonioscope, and recently different imaging technique has been developed. That is anterior segment OCT, ultrasound biomicroscopy, pentacam, or scanning peripheral anterior chamber depth analysis. I will discuss about the OCT. The application of OCT in the glaucoma is used for angle imaging, screening for angle closures, studying the effect of peripheral iridotomy, imaging of blebs, and analysis of the tube position in implant surgery, and also used for pachymetry. So advantage of this is non-contact, short imaging time, rapid image acquisition, and more physiological edge percentage in sitting upright position. Limitation are it is not able to penetrate the pigmented iris epithelium, and ciliary body zonules are not visualized clearly. So this is the OCT image, OCT picture of the angle, and these are the corresponding landmark in the gonioscopic pictures. So one can objectively assess the width of the angle. So if it is narrow, you can objectively measure the narrow width of the angles. So this is the pseudo color pictures where this is shallow anterior chamber in von Erich, and this is the narrow angle in anterior segment OCT. Next is the imaging technique for optic disc and retinal nerve fiber evaluation in glaucoma. These are usually done by confocal scanning laser ophthalmoscopy, that is HRT, scanning laser polarimetry or GDX, or optical coherent tomography or OCT. I will be discussing about the OCT. These are the main commercially available OCT machines, that is Syros SD OCT, Spectralis OCT, iView SD OCT, and 3D OCT from the Topcons. Every machine has a different protocol for glaucoma scan. and their software are patented and not interchangeable. So printout of the every OCT are different. So one machine cannot be compared. One machine results cannot be compared with the other machines. The OCT objectively measures the retinal nerve fiber layers, optic disc parameter, and ganglion cell complex. Nowadays, it is indispensable tools for diagnosis of the glaucoma and also detection of the progression of the disease. So, what OCT in glaucoma, it will scan in 3 regions. One is the optic disc or optic nerve head, peripapillary nerve fiber layers, and the macular ganglion cells. So, this is the printout of Syros SD OCT. To analyze systematically, this printout is divided into the 8 zones. Zone 1 is the patient detail and the test details, and zone 2 is the image quality, that is indicated by the signal strength. The signal strength of the OCT machine should be more than 6. Below 6 signal strength should not be interpreted, and highest signal strength is up to 10. So above 6 signal strength, the printout should be interpreted. Next is the zone 3 is the 3 tomographic pictures. There is 2 for optic disc, another is for RNFL. These 2 are, one is for horizontal tomograph of disc, another is the vertical tomograph of the disc. Here you have to look whether this roof membrane is correctly demarcated or not, and the nerve fiber layer, this should be correctly demarcated, and also the here nerve fiber layer should be correctly demarcated. Then only you accept the result and interpret the printout. So zone 4 is the RFM thickness layers. This will provide overall thickness of the nerve fiber layer around the scan area, and this normally this appears as a hourglass shape, and red and yellow color around the disc. That red and yellow color around the disc is normal appearance of this tomograph pictures. So next is the zone 5, that is RNFL deviation map. That means this picture shows 3 circles, that is this margin, Koch margin, and another is the calculation circles. This calculation circle is drawn by the OCT machines, that is 3.4 mm from the center of the disc diameter. 3.4 mm diameter of the disc is drawn from the center of the disc, and this area is scanned by the OCT machine, and result will be displayed here. This area also show you the how much the nerve fiber layer is deviated from the normative database. The yellow color means that is borderline, and red color means that is outside normal limits. The color coding here is given in this map, in this plot. The red color means this type of defect will occur in the 1% of the cases. Yellow color means this will occur in this type of defect may normally be occur in case of less than 5% of the cases. Yellow color is the green color is the normal, and white color, green and yellow is the normal. So next plot is you have to look for this table. This table indicates the different parameter of the optic disc head and the neuroretinal rings and the nerve fiber layers. So these also be color coded according to the normative database. Red is always outside, yellow means borderline, and green is normal. So next parameter, next plot is this is thickness of the ISNT thickness of the TSNIT. This TSNIT curve, it is 2 plot, one for the neuroretinal rims, another for the nerve fiber layers. Normally this should be in the green zones. And this is the double hump pattern, nerve fiber layer around the disc. This should be double hump pattern, and this one is for solid line right eye. This is solid line for the right eye, and another is for dotted line, we represent the left eye curve. So this should be in normal. This should be in green zone normally, and this should be in double hump patterns. That should be maintained. And last is the representation of the retinal nerve fiber layers in quadrant wise and clockwise. So how to read the printout of this OCT? So first, number one thing, you have to see the signal strength. Then this indicates the quality of the image. This should be here signal strength is displayed. So this should be above the 6. Then you have to look at the tomograph pictures. There are 3 tomograph pictures. The Bruch membrane should be correctly demarcated. Whether this is demarcated correctly or not, that indicates this margin. Then the nerve fiber layers is correctly demarcated or not, that only you have to accept the results. Then you have to look these parameters, different parameter of optic disc and the nerve fiber layers. Then you have to look at this part, that is neuroretinal thickness. This should be in the, this is in the green zones, that means normal. And retinal nerve fiber layers, that is double hump pattern is maintained, and this is in the green zone, that means it is normal. Optic disc and nerve fiber layers, and all the sector wise and the clockwise display are normal. That means this is the scan of normal optic disc and nerve fiber layers. So this is the abnormal, or when red display is there, that is also known as red disease. So you have to look mainly, shortly you can scan this nerve fiber layer thickness. This is left eye, right eye swatch. It is on the red zones, and here also the right eye swatch. This is falling on the red zones, and in right eye here is superior and inferior shows the red color. That means this is a abnormal scan of optic disc and nerve fiber layer thickness. So briefly I will explain how this machine acts. The scan started from temporally, then superiorly, nasally, then inferiorly, and lastly temporally. So that's why this is known as ISTS-NIT curve. So result is displayed here. This is your right eye, then this is your red eye, and this is the both eye symmetry. So what machine will do? First it will identify the Bruch membrane. So the end of the Bruch membrane and draw a circle. This is black line. This black line is the margin of the disc. And then this will draw a perpendicular distance to the short distance of the neurofiber layers, and anything above this is the rim area, and anything below this is the pop area. So then machine will identify the center of the optic disc and draw a 3.4 millimeter diameter circle, which is the calculation circles. The machine will scan the 6 into 6 millimeter grid. That means 6 into 6 millimeter grid, but calculation or analysis is done only in this, around this circle. Next is the ganglion cell analysis. As ganglion cells are most affected in the, or early affected by the glaucoma, ganglion total retina and thickness at the macula, up to 50% ganglion cells present in the macula. So ganglion cell are thickest at the macula. This contradicts the previously thought that macular area is largely affected by the glaucoma, but now they are thinking that macula is affected first because of the thickness of the nerve, the thickness of the ganglion cell. The vision loss is largely occurs. So ganglion cell preferentially involve the glaucoma preferentially involve the ganglion cell complex. In ganglion cell analysis, OCT will scan about, it will scan 6 into 6 grid, but the calculation is only in this circle, that is 4 into 4.8 millimeters, and it leaves the central part, that is 1 into 1.2 millimeters. So how the thickness of the ganglion cell measures OCT? The OCT does not, or OCT cannot measure the single layer of the ganglion cell, or it cannot identify the layer of ganglion cell alone. The ganglion cell thickness it measures by including the internal plexiform layers. So ganglion cell plus internal plexiform layer is the thickness of the ganglion cells. So this is known as the ganglion cell analysis. But in case of optohubensine, this is known as ganglion cell analysis because it includes the nerve fiber layers, ganglion cell and inner plexiform layers. So there are two programs there for macular scan. One is 512 into 128 cube, another is 200 into 200 cubes. So this is the printout of macular scan. The same thing, you have to see first the signal strength, then this is the ganglion cell thickness map, and color coding is also same. Green means normal, yellow means outside, and red color means yellow means borderline, and red color means outside the normal limits. So this is the deviation mesh. This will color coded according to the normative data base, and you can, this is the sector wise damage of the ganglion cells. So this is same another printout. So sector wise you can identify where is the damage is. So in conclusion, glaucoma can cause blindness if it is left untreated, and diagnosis is the first step to preserve the vision. OCT provides invaluable information for the diagnosis, and its reports should be used with clinical pictures and automated diagnosis. Thank you.